So today I'm going to be doing the no disclaimers book tag, and I was tagged by Anna from Slytherin Reads, so I will link her channel down below and you guys can go subscribe to her. So upon watching her video, I was super excited to be tagged in this one, and I love the questions and I'm so excited to answer them. So the first question is, which trope or tropes in books annoy you the most? And I think that one of the tropes that definitely annoys me is the significant other, or kind of like the love interest to the main character, is intimidated by them in some sort of way, like intimidated by their power or by their confidence or something like that, and wants to kind of drag them down or wants them to make themselves smaller to kind of, you know, appease that sort of insecurity. And that is super annoying to me in books. And I really hate it, especially when it's like a strong female character and then like the love interest that's totally a loser and is like, you are too powerful or whatever, and I'm just like, who cares? And it just is so annoying and needs to end. And I can name so many different books that have that trope, and it's really boring, it's really played out, it's super dated, and I would just love to see authors kind of move past it. Or if they want to try to use it, maybe subvert it in some sort of way or actively work against it. But in so many books, I just see it being like the main character starts to appease the love interest and that's kind of the end of it. And there's no like actual like kind of questioning of this bad trope. Question number 2 is, which writer or writers do you feel are overhyped? And I kind of have a working list in my head of those kind of authors. I don't talk about it very often because I don't like to talk about things that I don't enjoy or that I feel personally are overhyped, just because I'm like, everyone has their own opinions, you know, I don't want to like trample all over someone's fave. But personally, I have a few, like John Green, that's kind of an like obvious one. I've talked about him a bit on my channel, being like, I don't really love his books. I don't think they're as good as a lot of people say that they are, but I mean, that's totally a matter of opinion. So if you really like John Green's books, that's totally fine. I just found them really boring and I couldn't get through them except for one, which was The Fault in Our Stars. And even then, kind of looking back on it, I'm like, I don't really think I liked that book as much as I thought I liked it. So another one is definitely Rainbow Rowell. I don't really love her books all that much. I did really like Fangirl at the time, but even then I'm just kind of like meh about it. And I'm trying to think if there's definitely a lot of other authors. And I think another one is probably Adam Silvera. I've tried to read his books and I just don't really like his writing style. But I mean, I can't really call him like overhyped because he doesn't get a lot of hype anyway. So I just think, you know, I just don't really enjoy his writing style, and that's totally fine. But I think the biggest one and the most obvious one, if you know me, is definitely J.K. Rowling, and I really don't like Harry Potter. I love the movies, I love kind of the idea of it, and I love getting to participate in that fandom. However, I don't like the books, and I don't think they're as well written as people think that they are. I think a lot of it is definitely nostalgia, which is totally valid. I have so many things that are like, I like them solely based on nostalgia and like how much I liked them in the past, and they're not that great like looking back on it. So I think Harry Potter is definitely one of those kind of series. I just cannot get through the books. I did read the first one, did not like it, so definitely J.K. Rowling. The next question is, what are your least favorite books that you have read since joining BookTube? And there are so many, but most of them I haven't actually finished. I've just DNF'd them, so I can't necessarily say that like they're my least favorite books. I just didn't like what I read of them. And one of them that comes off the top of my head is definitely The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I could not for the life of me get into that book. It was so, like, I hated the writing style. It sounded just too much like a Lifetime movie for me, and I couldn't get into it. I like right off the bat didn't like the main character for some reason, and I think it just might have been like the Lifetime movie writing style, which is totally fine. I love myself a Lifetime movie every once in a while, but I don't necessarily want to read a book that has that writing style like all the way through. So yeah, that's definitely one of my, you know, books that I don't think I'm ever going to actually read the whole thing. Definitely just to stay DNF'd. Another one is, trying to remember what that book is called. I cannot remember it. I'm just sitting here being like, what in the heck? I can think of the second book's title, the third book's title. I cannot for the life of me remember the first book. So I think that that's probably another one that I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. But oh god, what is it called? And oh, it's by Sabata here. What's the first book called? Anyway, the first book in that series, the one with like A Torch Against the Night and stuff like that. What is the name of that first book? Oh my god, I can't remember it. I'm gonna have to search it up for 1 second, so give me a moment. Okay, so it's An Ember in the Ashes, and I read, I think, a little over 200 pages of that book, and I really didn't like it. It was just super boring, nothing was happening, and I didn't feel like the plot was moving along fast enough. And yeah, I just didn't really see the point of that book, and I tried really hard to get into it, and I can kind of see why people would like it, but it definitely wasn't as action-packed as people had made it out to be. So I just really could not get on board with that book, and everything felt so drawn out. Nothing was really happening like when I wanted it to happen. I didn't feel like the plot needed to happen like so late into the book. It could have started way earlier. So yeah, definitely Ember in the Ashes. I almost forgot the title again. The next question is a terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book, and that would definitely be the ending to The Night Circus. I really, really loved that book up until kind of closer to the ending, where it got a little boring and I just like could not find the energy to finish that book. So definitely that one has like an ending that I could not get on board with. I really didn't like the way it ended, and it just kind of didn't seem to fit the rest of the theme of the book. But otherwise, it was a really great book. I think I ended up giving that one a 4 out of 5 stars, mostly taking a star off for the ending. I just didn't really enjoy it. But I did really like the beginning, and it was absolutely beautiful and so addicting. And then it just hit a spot towards the end where I'm like, I really don't feel the need to finish this book anytime soon. And so it took me a few years to finish it. The next question is, which fictional character do you wish was not killed off? And immediately my mind went to Nehemia from the Throne of Glass series, and she definitely should not have been killed off. I think it was the absolutely wrong decision to make, and I really don't like the implication of a woman of color's death being the thing to push forward the white main character's plot. That just really does not sit well with me, and is one of my least favorite parts about that series, even though I've had, you know, I've had kind of a love-hate relationship with that series. I do really love it, but there are definitely a lot of parts that I really hate about it, and that is one of them. So definitely Nehemia's death. I don't believe she should have died. I don't really even see a reason for her dying, and the, you know, the whole reason for her and like that plot and stuff like that was super weak, and it just didn't feel necessary. So yeah, I definitely would wish that she was still alive. The next question is bookish pet peeves, and I have a really good one that I've actually never heard anyone talk about before. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure someone has talked about it, I just haven't heard anyone do it. And one of my biggest pet peeves, because I listen to a lot of audiobooks and I am super picky about them, and my biggest pet peeve is when the publishers hire someone who just has like the worst sounding voice. Like, it's not a nice voice to listen to, especially when it's a YA book and the narrator sounds like they're like 40 years old, and I'm like, why is this 40-year-old lady narrating this YA book when this character is like 16 years old? Like, what is going on? Why is this happening? And I really hate it. Like, I really hate old sounding voices when they're trying to portray like a 16-year-old. It just doesn't sound right. It's a big pet peeve, and I will automatically not listen to the audiobook at all if the narrator sounds even like slightly old. Like if they sound like they're 30, I'm not gonna listen to it, because it's just like, it totally takes me out of the story and is so unbelievable. And yeah, that is like a huge pet peeve of mine. I'm super picky with voices for audiobooks, and I will immediately turn it off if it sounds bad. The last question is, what are the books that you feel need more recognition? And I have quite a few of those kind of books. I mean, I can just name some off the top of my head, like Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova, Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. I believe that all of those deserve so much more recognition than they get, and I wish they were super hyped, and I want more people to read them because they're so beautiful and so diverse and just wonderful reads. And if you want to know anything about them, I think I have some reviews and I will link them down below. They are just absolutely phenomenal books. So those were all the questions for the tag, and I had such a good time answering all of them. And thank you once again to Anna for tagging me. It was so sweet of you. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!